My desk mate was being bullied. I gathered evidence under pressure and sent the bully to the police station. My desk mate then turned around and issued a letter of forgiveness for the bully. As a result, the bully directed all their anger at me. I was cornered in an alley by a group of people and beaten to death. After being reborn, my desk mate tearfully told me about being bullied, and I said to her with a smile, "I've heard that boys at this age express their affection by bullying the person they like. Could it be that he likes you? Otherwise, why would he only bully you?" Her face instantly flushed red to the tips of her ears. "Yes, that's right, trashy men and cheap women deserve to be locked together forever." I turned on the faucet, cupped my hands to catch some water, and splashed it forcefully onto my face. The icy cold tap water sent a shiver through me, but I laughed out loud. I'm not dreaming. Just moments ago, I was reborn. I turned off the faucet, wiped the water off my face haphazardly, and left the bathroom. There weren't many students moving around outside, so when I reached the stairwell, I heard a sound coming from the rooftop. So, I had returned to the day I discovered Susan being bullied by John James. In my previous life, I followed the sound to the rooftop, chased away John James and his gang, and took Susan to find our homeroom teacher. After listening to us, the homeroom teacher said he would investigate while shooing us out of the office, but after we returned, we waited for a long time and never received the results of his investigation. During that period, John James's bullying of Susan became increasingly severe. Having her hair cut, clothes torn, and being cornered in the restroom was Susan's daily reality. She said it was John James' punishment for her reporting him. It was then that I understood the weight of the two buildings, a playground, and $1 billion that John James' family had donated to the school, so heavy that no one was willing to pay attention to a bullied girl. The heroism of my youth screamed within me. So, despite the pressure, I gathered evidence of John James bullying Susan and handed it over to the police. When the policewoman praised me for my bravery, I felt like a great hero, but 3 days later, reality sent me crashing to the bottom. Susan issued a letter of understanding to John James. I questioned Susan and tried to find a trace of fear from being threatened in her eyes, but unfortunately, I found none. She told me with a kind expression that John James was still a minor and that we shouldn't let his life be tarnished. I suddenly felt a deep sense of helplessness, and the anger that was about to burst out ultimately turned into a bitter smile. The night I came out of the police station, John James called a few of his buddies and cornered me in a deserted alley. I curled up in the corner, countless punches and kicks raining down on me. My life ended on this dark night. This was the price I paid for helping Susan. I can still feel the utter despair I felt right before my death. Clearly, I wasn't the one who did anything wrong, so why was I the one who ended up dead? So, when I found myself standing at the stairwell corner once again, I didn't hesitate and chose to head straight to the classroom. I must cherish this second chance given to me by fate. Study hard, get into the university of my dreams, and live my life to the fullest. Susan entered the classroom just as the class bell rang. I glanced at her. Her hair was slightly disheveled, the right side of her face was swollen and red, and there was a faint smell of cigarette smoke on her uniform. It was a bit unpleasant. I instinctively moved a little farther away from her, then opened my textbook and focused on the teacher's lecture. In my previous life, I spent almost every day thinking about how to help Susan and how to gather evidence of her being bullied, leaving me with no mind for studying. This caused my already average grades to worsen, and in the last exam before I died, I ranked third from the bottom in my class. A class period passed quickly, and during the break, I hurriedly organized the key points the teacher had explained in my notes. Just as I finished half of it, Susan tugged at the corner of my clothes. She turned her head and blinked her innocent, deer-like eyes at me. I asked her in confusion, "Is something wrong?" Her eyes gradually turned red, but she didn't say a word. I tugged the corner of my clothes out of her hand and said, "If there's nothing wrong, I'll go back to taking notes." After writing just a few words, she tugged at the corner of my clothes again. I ignored her and continued focusing on organizing the key points. When I finally finished writing, I realized she was still holding onto the corner of my clothes. A wave of irritation rose inside me, and I pulled my clothes back with a bit more force. Unexpectedly, her tears started streaming down instantly. Her crying immediately drew strange looks from the people around us, and my speechlessness was deafening. I didn't even bully her, yet she led everyone to suspect me. I used to feel sorry for her because of her poor family background and went out of my way to help her. Being kind and friendly to those who actually bully you, but attacking those who help you. Susan, you really are something else. Originally, after being reborn, I just wanted to focus on studying and stay out of her messy affairs, but since she wants to play it this way, fine, let's see who outplays whom. Coincidentally, the homeroom teacher entered the classroom just then, when he saw Susan crying. He showed no trace of the impatience he had when he kicked me out of the office in my previous life. Instead, he looked at her with a kind expression and asked, "What's wrong, Susan?" Susan glanced at me timidly, bit her lower lip, and shook her head, acting as if she dared not speak under my oppressive authority. What a performance! Suppressing my irritation, I took the initiative and said, "Teacher, when Susan returned from the break during the last class, she smelled of smoke. I suspect she went out to smoke. A student smoking at school is a serious matter." And the homeroom teacher's expression immediately turned stern. Susan immediately denied it. "I didn't, don't make baseless accusations." I pretended to cover my nose, "but I really smelled it. If you don't believe me, teacher, you can ask the students around us." When the people around heard me shift the topic to them, they quickly averted their gazes. I know this group of classmates quite well. In my past life, I wasn't without seeking help, but no one ever agreed to assist me. They weren't wrong either. When faced with the choice of helping me or dealing with John James, any sensible person would choose to keep their distance. The silence from those around us seemed, in the homeroom teacher's eyes, to be a form of tacit agreement, but that alone wasn't enough for the homeroom teacher to draw a conclusion. I feigned surprise and pointed at the hem of Susan's clothes. "Hey, why does it look like there's a burn mark here, and there's even some ash on it?" Susan flustered and hurriedly covered her clothes. At this point, without me having to say anything more, everyone turned their suspicious gazes back to Susan. The homeroom teacher tapped the lectern with his knuckles. "Susan, don't think that just because you have good grades, you can break school rules. After class, come with me to the office and explain what happened clearly." Susan nodded reluctantly. But out of the corner of my eye, I saw her hands clenching tightly into fists. I sneered inwardly. "Now you know how it feels when the needle pricks your own skin." After class, before the homeroom teacher took Susan away, I seized the opportunity to get him to agree to move my seat to the very back row. As Susan left the classroom, she shot me a sharp glare. That look gave me the feeling that she had been dissatisfied with me for a long time. I unconsciously twirled the pen in my hand, replaying every detail of my interactions with her in my mind, but couldn't recall doing anything that would have wronged her. "Don't make so much noise, it's annoying." The clear, cold voice startled me. I immediately put down the pen and turned to apologize. "I'm sorry, I almost forgot." Sitting in the last row of our class was the top student in the entire school, Simon, nicknamed Top Simon. On the very first day of school, he was assigned a seat at the very back by the teacher, claiming it was quieter and less likely to be disturbed. But now, the spot where I'm sitting is separated from his by several desks. I pouted, thinking he really is a sensitive person. However, on second thought, this is the first semester of our senior year. If I want to improve my grades before the college entrance exam, having this genius next to me is nothing short of a lifesaver. Coincidentally, I had a question I didn't quite understand. So I grabbed my exercise book and scurried over to him. I was just spinning my pen because I couldn't figure out this problem. Could you teach me? Once I solve it, I won't disturb you anymore. It'll only take a little bit of your time, please." He looked up and gave me a look that said, "You idiot, I get it, I get it." To someone with high intelligence, someone like me with average IQ must seem like an idiot. But I've already died once. What's there to fear from a look? I immediately met his gaze with a look that said, "A dead pig fears no scalding water." He was taken aback by my stare, quickly averted his eyes, glanced at the problem a couple of times, and then started scribbling furiously on the draft paper. After finishing, he tore off that page, tucked it into the exercise book, and tossed it directly to me without giving me another glance. I thanked him profusely, tucked the book under my arm, returned to my seat, and carefully studied the steps he had written for me. "No wonder you're a top student. Your problem-solving approach is truly enlightening." As I put down my pen and stretched, my deskmate was looking at me with admiration. "What's the matter?" She shook her head and then gave me a thumbs up. "Jessica, you're the first person who could get Top Simon to teach you a problem." Her deskmate explained. "No one can stand his gaze. You're the first. Just be a bit thick-skinned, actually. He's really nice. The method he wrote for me is easy to understand and perfect for someone like me who isn't too smart. Do you want to take a look too?" They both nodded vigorously. I handed Simon's draft over to them, and they took it back like it was a treasure to study. After stretching comfortably, I saw Susan, who had just entered the classroom. Her eyes were red and swollen, clearly from crying heavily. She must have been scolded pretty harshly by the homeroom teacher. Her gaze at me became even sharper. Is she blaming me again? In response, I shrugged at her. Actually, when I mentioned her smoking, she could have publicly brought up the fact that John James was bullying her. Compared to her smoking, the latter would have been much more convincing. In my previous life, I was the one who dragged her to see the homeroom teacher. This time, I didn't go, and she didn't say anything either. Did she never intend to tell the teacher about this from the very beginning? But what benefit could she possibly gain from hiding the fact that she was bullied from John James? I tapped my head and thought, forget it, there's no point in overthinking it. It's hard to understand people with twisted values anyway. The first day after my rebirth was incredibly fulfilling. After school in the evening, I ran excitedly out of the school gate with my backpack on. From a distance, I saw my dad waiting at our usual spot. I made my way through the crowded crowd, walked up to him, and hugged his arm. He smiled and asked me, "What good thing happened to you today, Jessica? You're being so clingy." I pouted and pretended to let go of him, saying, "If Dad doesn't like me clinging to him, then I'll go home and cling to Mom instead. I'm sure she made something delicious for dinner." Dad gently poked my forehead. Cheeky. We chatted and laughed for a while, and soon we reached the parking spot. Just as we got in the car, Dad suddenly remembered something. "Why didn't you come with your classmate today?" He was referring to Susan. Ever since we became desk mates in our senior year of high school, I'd been trying to get closer to her by sharing snacks, drinks, and fun activities. Noticing that no one picked her up after school, I generously offered her a ride in my dad's car. I smiled and replied to my dad, "She said it's not good to always trouble us, so she won't be riding in our car anymore." My dad understood. She's really a child with strong self-respect. The car started and slowly drove away from the school. I suddenly felt a bit uneasy, as if someone was staring at me, but when I looked in the rearview mirror at the crowd behind us, I didn't notice anyone suspicious. The feeling finally disappeared after the car turned right at the intersection. I squinted, recalling my dad's earlier comment about her being strong-willed. Our school was a key high school, and most of the students came from well-off families. Since Susan seemed no different from the others, I naturally assumed her family was well off too. But one night, after we dropped her off near her home, it suddenly started raining. Remembering she didn't have an umbrella and unsure how long it would take her to walk home, I asked my dad to turn the car around and bring her an umbrella. We circled around the area for a long time before I saw her enter the nearby old residential complex. I quickly grabbed an umbrella and got out of the car. When I ran over and shoved the umbrella into her hand, she didn't say thank you. Instead, she told me not to tell anyone that she lived here, and later, she reminded me a few more times, intentionally or unintentionally, to which I responded half-heartedly. Could it be that Susan resents me so deeply just because I know she lives in an old residential complex, and it hurts her pride? This is just too bizarre. After distancing myself from Susan, I feel so much more refreshed. The classmates around me are easy to get along with, although Simon still keeps his distance from strangers. He helps me out when I ask him questions. This is probably what people online mean when they say that being around positive people strengthens your own energy field. Although I was once killed by Susan and John James, after all, in this life, I have already avoided the risks. For things that haven't happened, I won't create imaginary enemies. It's just a pity that Susan doesn't see it that way. A few days later, she approached me during the class break. She originally wanted to pull me to the stairwell, but I was cautious and told her that if she had something to say, we could talk in the classroom. She frowned and said it wasn't convenient. So we compromised and went outside the classroom. Go ahead, I still have some problems to solve. Jessica, I want to explain what happened the other day. When the homeroom teacher called me out like that, I was really scared and instinctively looked at you. I thought you would help me. It was never my intention to make everyone misunderstand you. Is she here to make peace with me? But I don't quite believe it. If you have something to say, just say it. What's there to be afraid of? The homeroom teacher isn't going to eat you. Susan paused, feeling as though I had abruptly cut off the words she had prepared to say. If there's nothing else, I'll go in first. Wait, she suddenly grabbed me. That day, I was actually the one being bullied. Is she expecting me to help her like I did in my past life, and then let me die again? What exactly does she want from John James? It can't be him, can it? I suddenly had a jolt of realization. It's not impossible. I'm going to test the waters. Is it a boy or a girl? How did they bully you? Was it just minor teasing? Besides you, does he bully anyone else? Susan replied hesitantly, It's a boy, and he only bullies me. I can't believe it was so easy to trick it out. I put on an innocent smile. I've heard that boys at this age show their affection by teasing the person they like. Could it be that he likes you? Otherwise, why would he only pick on you?" Susan raised her voice in a higher pitch. "Where did you hear that from?" I raised an eyebrow. "It's from what Marguerite wrote in her diary in The Lady of the Camellias. Besides your insults, which are proof that you have always loved me, it seems to me that the more you torment me, the more exalted I will appear in your eyes when you learn the truth." Susan's face instantly flushed red to the tips of her ears. She had projected herself into the story. People really need to read more, with only a superficial understanding. It's easy to be led astray. I really envy you. You have good grades, you're pretty, and boys chase after you. Unlike me, it takes me a whole day just to solve one problem. When will I ever catch up to you? My words made Susan's face light up with joy. "Jessica, you're not bad either." She was very pleased that I praised her, and delighted that I admitted I was not as good as her. Well, since she loves to hear it, I'll have to say it more often in the future. Susan acted as if nothing had happened, often coming to find me and even asking me to move back to my original seat. "Are you kidding? The seat next to Top Simon has such great location. In the recently concluded monthly exam, I improved by a full 3 places. How could I just leave?" "Susan, you've always been in the top 5 of the class, so you don't understand the struggles of us average students. I have to treat myself like an ascetic, exiling myself, just to make a little progress. You have no idea how much pressure I felt when I sat next to you. Your brilliance is just too dazzling." Susan was very happy with what I said and stopped worrying about the seating issue, then went back, just as I lowered my head to continue working on the problems. Top Simon's words fell beside my ear. "Jessica, keep your distance from her." It took me a moment to realize he was talking about Susan. I instinctively glanced at Susan and happened to catch her looking at me with a less than friendly gaze, but she quickly averted her eyes. Smart people have such sharp judgment when it comes to reading others. If only I could be that clever, I wouldn't have had to die once in my past life. "Okay, sounds good." Top Simon handed me his monthly exam paper. "If there's anything you don't understand, just ask me." I took it with a smile. Life went on uneventfully, and final exams were just around the corner. Everyone was studying hard. Even Susan hasn't come to see me for several days, so I happily took the opportunity to memorize a few more English essays, until one day, my deskmate mysteriously told me that she had seen something unbelievable. "Jessica, quick, say, Your Highness, please speak, and I'll tell you." I lowered my head and continued translating classical Chinese. I saw Susan walking with John James. I quickly looked up. "Where did you see them? What were they doing? Please don't let it be bullying. I really don't want anyone to die over this again." She gave me a "knew you'd want to know" expression. "Just now during the break at the snack bar, it wasn't just me, a lot of people saw them. I bet everyone's talking about how those two ended up together right now." I felt as if struck by lightning. Susan actually really got together with John James, even if it's John James. With less than half a year left until the college entrance exam, is it really appropriate to start a relationship at a time like this? I exchanged a glance with my deskmate in front of me, and we both saw the disbelief in each other's eyes. While I was still in a daze, a hand suddenly reached over from beside me, offering a bottle of milk. I looked up and saw Susan smiling sweetly. "Jessica, you always used to bring me snacks before. Now, try the ones I bought for you." On her face, besides sweetness, there was also a hint of showing off. Of course, I had to indulge her. I generously accepted it and then casually glanced at the bag she was holding. "Are these for me too?" Before she could answer, I went to take the bag from her hand. Although she held it quite tightly, she couldn't withstand my seemingly endless brute strength. In no time, the bag was in my hands. "Susan, you're so kind. These are all my favorites." "Thank you." The smile on her face was barely holding up. She said, "You're welcome," and then ran off. The person in front of me gave me another thumbs up. I handed her the snack bag and said, "Go ahead, eat." "Hee." "Jessica, you're quite generous, aren't you?" John James was already a popular figure at school, so news of him being with Susan spread quickly throughout the campus. Susan suddenly became famous, and she came to talk to me less and less. But every time she did, the pride on her face was impossible to hide. Back then, she really did resemble a victorious rooster. I don't really understand what she's trying to compete with me about, but since she's so happy about it, I'm glad to see it happen. In many rebirth stories, the protagonist goes to great lengths to seek revenge, but in my case, I just need to watch quietly without lifting a finger. She'll bring about her own downfall all by herself. Does she really think being with John James is such a good thing? Does she really believe that in everyone's eyes, they're some kind of praiseworthy, perfect couple? The final exam results are out, and I've moved up 2 more spots, ranking 20th in the class. My parents were so excited that they took me to a 5-star restaurant. Halfway through the meal, I went to the restroom and passed by a very noisy private room. The door wasn't closed properly, and out of curiosity, I glanced inside. The moment I saw John James, my breathing became painful. The waitress next to me quickly came over and asked if I was okay. I shook my head and leaned against the wall with her support. The hallway was brightly lit, but I still felt as if I were lying in that alley, helpless and unable to call for help. I leaned against the wall, taking a long time to finally calm down. Just as I was about to walk away, John James's words reached my ears. "Girlfriend, just for fun," she came on to me herself. "Why not take advantage? Besides, she's not bad looking." How did she come on to me? I was smoking on the rooftop when she suddenly ran over and started lecturing me, saying students shouldn't smoke. I couldn't stand it, so I slapped her. Later, I teased her a few more times, and unexpectedly, she ended up confessing to me. I didn't agree at first, but she came up and hugged and kissed me. I couldn't resist, you know. Besides, she has a pretty face and a great figure. So I'm not losing out in any case. I clenched my fists tightly. So, from the very beginning, it was Susan who actively approached John James. In my previous life, she knew I misunderstood but didn't explain, instead going along with it until the situation became irreparable for John James. Only then did she finally step forward and present the letter of understanding that sealed my fate but saved John James. That way, she could use the favor of saving his life to gain benefits from John James. There was never any bullying, it was all her playing tricks from start to finish. But why did she have to drag me down with her when she was the one acting shamelessly? But now that she's my girlfriend, if someone bullies her, I have to pay them back. Someone nearby teased, "Who would dare bully our sister-in-law?" There's a woman, I think her name is Jessica. The reason I called everyone here today is to ask for a favor. Find some time to teach this person a lesson. The scheming in the private room continued, and I was already boiling with rage. I never knew, whether in my past life or now, that Susan wished for my death, and there I was, smiling and thinking that staying away from her would be enough. I really have to laugh at my own foolishness. The AQ spirit is fully embodied in me. Even though I'm slow, I've come to understand many things. Susan is jealous of me. She excels academically and is also beautiful, so she feels superior to me. But when she found out that my family lived in a large apartment in the city center, she learned that unless my dad was on a business trip or too busy to get away, he would pick me up from school every evening. She learned that my mom carefully prepared 3 meals a day for me and often made snacks for me to take to school. She began to realize that I had much more than she did, so she wants to latch on to John James, this powerful support, to mend her shaky sense of superiority over me. It could even elevate her status overnight. I picked up my phone and opened the chat with Susan. "Susan, your birthday is coming up soon. What gift would you like?" What would she do if she found out that John James, this supposed support, isn't actually that reliable? Whatever, as long as it's from you, I'll like it. Really, when I give it to you then, you better not dislike it. During the winter break, I've been working hard to improve my grades, seeing how hard I've been studying. My dad said he pulled some strings to find me a top student tutor. I happily gave him a hug, but when I saw that he had found Simon for me, I couldn't quite keep smiling. Simon dutifully took out the final exam paper to explain the questions to me, but I stopped him immediately. "Did your family go bankrupt? Are you tutoring to pay off debts?" Simon rolled his eyes at me. "Even if the school shuts down, my family would never go bankrupt." When your dad went to my uncle's house, I happened to be there. Somehow they started talking about children's studies, and then my uncle mentioned that I have good grades. Your dad immediately followed up by saying his own daughter's grades weren't great, and asked if I could help with tutoring, so I agreed. I bit the pen cap. "Oh, I see, thanks for your trouble." Simon adjusted his glasses. "No problem, it's good to review basic question types occasionally." I pressed my lips together and buried my head in the questions. Simon comes every morning to tutor me and leaves homework for me to do in the afternoon, then returns the next day to review it with me. The problems he assigns are really difficult. For me, it feels like trying to force growth, but I don't dare to resist because the words that come out of his 36 degrees Celsius mouth are colder than sub-zero weather. Days passed one by one, and in the blink of an eye, only 3 days remained until Susan's birthday. The person sitting in front of me often sends me WeChat messages, telling me about Susan and John James. These two have been very lovey-dovey lately, going out to watch movies or hanging out at bars and singing every day. Susan knows that John James likes motorcycles and even goes out with him to ride around the streets. Going for a ride in the middle of winter sounds freezing, but Susan is really willing to go all out. The person in front also mentioned Susan's birthday party. From the venue to the decorations and the invitations, all expenses were covered by John James. It seems that John James still has some feelings for Susan. I took a taxi to the affluent area of the city and found a villa using the address on my phone. I pressed the doorbell, and a servant politely opened the door and invited me in. In the living room, Lisa Lewis was already sitting on the sofa waiting for me, although she is the same age as us. There is a maturity in her every gesture that sets her apart. Go ahead, tell me why you came to see me. I'm here to give you a reason not to marry into the James family. She gave me a look that said, you'd better convince me, and motioned for me to continue. I sat up straight. You study at an international school, so you might not be very familiar with our one high school. Recently, one of the most talked about topics at our school is John James's relationship. Of course, you can easily find out about these things with a little inquiry, but what John James is going to do next might not be so easy for you to find out. I took out my phone and played the audio I had recorded outside the private room at the restaurant last time. After listening, Lisa Lewis raised her eyebrows slightly. I didn't expect that John James is actually quite good to his girlfriend. My right eyelid twitched twice. No way, no way. Is she actually admiring John James? Listen carefully. His kindness to his girlfriend is built on the foundation of dealing with me. Don't look at me with that expression. It's so condescending. My heart finally settled. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. When are they going to make their move? I shook my head. I don't know. But there's a good opportunity coming up. Susan's birthday party is in 3 days, and that group will most likely be there. Are you saying that even if they don't make a move that day, you'll make sure they do? Yeah. If you need any help, just let me know. Sure thing. The deal was settled, and as I was about to get up and leave, Lisa Lewis suddenly asked me, how did you know I didn't want an arranged marriage? I answered honestly, after hearing the rumors spread by the James and Lewis families. I searched for your information online and came across your speech from when you first entered high school. You confidently declared, I entered this school as the top student, and when I graduate, I will still be the top student. Early comments criticized you for being arrogant, but later on, they were mostly filled with praise, because so far, you've ranked first in every exam at the school, so I thought, you probably wouldn't want to become Mrs. James. Miss Lisa suits you much better. She suddenly laughed. You're quite cute. I smiled back at her. Thank you, Miss Lisa. After going out, I quickly took a taxi home. Some people are already preparing to seize power in their families at 18, while others are still worried about not being able to solve problems and being scolded by the teacher. Susan's 18th birthday party was held at a private villa in the suburbs. At the entrance, a large portrait of Susan was displayed, and the aisle was lined with vibrant, freshly bloomed roses on both sides. Susan, dressed in designer clothes, was beaming brightly as she held on to John James's arm. When she saw me, her expression froze for a moment before she flashed an even brighter smile than before. Jessica, did you put on makeup today? I almost didn't recognize you. It's the first time I've seen you dressed up so beautifully. It's a bit like I'm stealing the spotlight. Yeah. I practiced for a long time just to come to your birthday party. What can I say? You're my best friend after all. Not at all. I had my makeup done at a salon, and it was so expensive. It cost me $500. I'm already so happy that you could come, and I didn't expect you to dress up so formally. By the way, let me introduce you. This is my boyfriend, John James. I politely said hello. John James didn't look at me very kindly. After all, in Susan's words, I'm a bad woman, along with him. John James's friends were also unfriendly. They stood behind John James. Their gazes toward me were quite greasy, and I guessed they were probably the same ones from the private room last time. Suddenly, I felt a bit regretful about my outfit today. After delivering the gift, I walked over to the buffet area nearby. I casually picked up a small cake and put it in my mouth, pleasantly surprised to find that it tasted really good, so I ended up having a few more. The person in front of me leaned in and gestured a 6 with her hand. I heard John James spent this much on the birthday party. I widened my eyes and covered my mouth. It wasn't out of shock, but rather a bit of pity. That 6-figure sum was probably going to go to waste. As night fell slowly, the villa was brightly lit. The moment the fireworks exploded in the sky, the atmosphere reached its peak. John James opened a bottle of champagne, and the wine mixed with foam splashed onto the crowd. Then someone opened a second bottle, a third. It was such a wild celebration that even I, who had been hiding in the corner, ended up with drops of wine on me. After eating another small cake, someone handed me a glass of wine, his eyebrows raised. To quench your thirst. He is a friend of John James. I took the glass, revealing a shy smile, and unconsciously touched my earlobe with my left hand. The next second, I exclaimed in surprise, "My earring is gone!" I bent down with my glass, searching the floor by the light, but unfortunately, I couldn't find it. After looking all around, I looked pitifully at my friend John James. What should I do? This is a custom-made earring my mom specially commissioned from a master. It's one of a kind in the world. My expression stirred some hormones in him. "Don't worry, I'll help you look for it." After saying that, he also bent down and began searching the floor. I crouched down and slowly lifted the tablecloth. Inside the table's hidden compartment was another glass of wine I had prepared earlier. As I lifted the tablecloth halfway, Susan's voice sounded behind me. "Jessica, what are you doing?" Had she discovered it? My heart leaped into my throat, and for a moment, I forgot to breathe. Cold sweat beaded on my forehead. To calm myself, I gripped the tablecloth tightly in my hand, not letting go for a long while. Perhaps sensing that something was wrong with me, Susan walked over to my side. She reached out her hand to me, and there in her palm lay my earring. "Jessica, were you looking for this?" My body tensed up, my heart feeling as if it were being squeezed by someone. Fear gripped me so intensely that I nearly convulsed. I clearly put the earring in my coat pocket, so why is it in her hand? Does she know what I'm planning to do tonight? No, it can't be. I prepared everything in secret. There's no way she could know. I straightened up silently, trembling as I took back the earring and held it to my chest. "Finally found it." John James' friend chimed in at the right moment. "Sis, where did you find it? We've been looking for it for a long time." Susan smiled. "I just saw it in the changing room and immediately brought it over. It was just a coincidence, but I was really careless, not even noticing that the earring had fallen out." I slowly let out a sigh. "Thank you, Susan." Before I could relax my tense body, Susan noticed the glass in my hand. "What's this drink?" Her eyes darted between me and John James' friend, a teasing look brimming in them. John James' friend wore a playful smile. "I bought it." Susan looked somewhat disappointed, but her words were full of malice. "But the drink hasn't been touched at all, Jessica. He's John James' friend. Could you do me a favor?" The gazes of the two were fixed on me like venomous snakes, and my hand holding the wine glass tightened unconsciously, but at the same time, I also breathed a sigh of relief. Lisa Lewis found the friend who was with John James at the hotel that day. She had someone approach one of them and gave him some advice on how to make girls comply obediently. That person took it to heart and put it into action. Originally, I wasn't sure if something had been slipped into the wine in my hand. I had planned to switch the drink, pretend to be too drunk after drinking it, and go back to the room with John James's friend. Only then can I send them all in at once. But now, Susan is forcing me to drink this wine in a teasing tone, and I'm almost certain there's something in it. There's no need for me to keep up the act any longer. I moved closer to the window, making sure the people outside could clearly see me tucking my hair behind my ear. "This is the signal." Then, I gently swirled the glass and smiled at them, saying, "Sorry, I took some cephalosporin today, so I can't drink." Susan didn't say anything, but John James' friend's face immediately fell. To be honest, I was still a bit afraid of him. After all, he might have been one of the people who killed me in my past life. That alley was too dark, aside from recognizing John James' voice. I couldn't even see the faces of the others, but I can only force myself to calm down now. Unlike in my previous life, someone will come to rescue me soon, so I have to hold on. John James walked over to me. "Are you really going to disrespect me like this?" I didn't hold back. "How could I? You've surely heard that mixing cephalosporin with alcohol can be fatal. Besides, no matter what, I'm your sister-in-law's good friend." "Is this how you treat me?" Susan scolded me. "Jessica, you're really something. If you didn't want to drink, you should have just said so. He's not a stingy person. There's no need to make up such an excuse." I raised an eyebrow. "You don't believe me? Do I really have to take a sip for you to be convinced?" The wine rippled gently. They were about to say more, but I slowly brought the glass to my lips and asked pitifully, "Do you really want me to drink?" As the wine glass neared my lips, a flicker of excitement flashed in Susan's eyes. Just then, the villa's front door burst open with a loud crash, and a group of heavily armed SWAT officers stormed in. "Everyone, stand still, don't move." Susan's expression instantly froze on her face. The villa fell into complete silence. After all, these were just students who had barely reached adulthood. No matter how wealthy their families were, none of them had ever witnessed a scene like this. After searching the area, the SWAT team seemed to find nothing of interest. Then, some of them started packing the alcohol into boxes. Whether the bottles were opened or unopened, they were all collected, including the one in my hand. Even the glass was taken away. I finally breathed a sigh of relief, not in vain for having held the cup in my hand the whole time, afraid it might spill or tip over. Before the test results came out, all of us were kept inside the villa. The entire villa was tightly surrounded by special police, with no one able to get in or out. As the night grew deeper, the person in front of me couldn't hold on any longer and began to doze off, leaning on my shoulder. I looked around. Most people were angry but didn't dare to speak out. Who would have thought that attending a birthday party would lead to a raid by special police? The birthday girl, Susan, was snuggled in John James's arms, but he seemed a bit distracted. He had every reason to worry. The villa belonged to him. The decoration contract was signed by him. And the drinks were brought by him. Essentially, if anything went wrong here, he would be held fully responsible. Moreover, he was well aware that his friend had brought in contraband and even knew what it was intended for. Those private goods could get the police to arrest them all, so, whatever punishment he receives is well deserved. I don't know how much time had passed, but finally, someone opened the main door. Following the special police officers were everyone's parents. The tears of the girl in front of me instantly streamed down her face as she stumbled toward her parents. It was never my intention to involve innocent people, but what's even more unforgivable are the masterminds behind this incident. I was the last one to come out. Although I had informed my parents in advance, they still looked deeply worried, with faint dark circles under their eyes. They probably hadn't slept all night. As soon as they saw me, they rushed over and asked if I was okay. I gently held my mother's trembling hand. "Mom, I'm fine." She held me tightly in her arms. "It's good that you're okay. It's good that you're okay." I hugged my mother back, and then I saw Simon standing behind her. My heart skipped a beat. Did he really come all the way here to check my homework? Mom seems to have remembered Simon too. She let go of me. "Simon came very early today. When the police notified us, he came with us." I apologized to him sheepishly. "I haven't done yesterday's homework yet." "It's okay. Go back and rest first." Simon's expression was serious, not like he was joking, but he was right. I hadn't slept all night, and in such a lethargic state, I couldn't possibly attend class. Before leaving, I glanced back and happened to meet Susan's gaze from inside the door. Resentment, unwillingness, and confusion were all mixed in her eyes. I smiled at her, turned around, and walked out with my arms linked with my parents, behind. The villa's door slammed shut with a thud. From this moment on, everyone who threatens my life will rot in prison. John James was released on bail, unexpected, yet it made sense. He shifted all the blame onto Susan. James's family, true to their business-minded nature, didn't confront Susan directly but went straight to her family. The terms set by James's family were impossible for the Smiths to refuse, so, whether Susan was willing or not, she had no choice but to sign her name. On the day Susan was taken away, the Smith family moved into the most popular residential complex in the city. On the same day, John James was released from the detention center and was sent abroad on a flight arranged by the James family. On the Lewis family's side, they abandoned the idea of forming a marriage alliance with the James family, and Lisa Lewis took the opportunity to secure a major project from the James family. It seemed that everyone, except Susan, benefited from the situation. I received a call from Susan wanting to see me, but I refused without a second thought. Why go see her, to listen to her talk about how miserable her past life was and how she had no choice but to harm me? Then why didn't she harm John James? His circumstances are far better than mine. Or should I go listen to her confession, saying she regrets being jealous of me and ended up falling into an abyss? But I didn't come back to life just to hear her say, "I'm sorry." She seemed unwilling to give up and even sent me a letter. When I saw the sender's name, I immediately threw it into the trash. On New Year's Eve, the three of us sat in the living room, keeping vigil for the new year. On the previous New Year's Eve, I was crouched in the alley, gazing at the distant lights of countless homes. At that time, I was still complaining, wondering why not a single ray of light could reach me. Fortunately, I pulled myself out of the mire. A warm house, bright lights, dear family, I have everything I need. In the blink of an eye, the new semester began. In the placement test at the start of the semester, I made significant progress, proving that Simon's efforts to pull up the seedlings were not in vain. At the 100-day pledge rally for the college entrance exam, the teacher asked everyone to write down their desired universities, seal them in envelopes, and place them in the safe at the back of the classroom. I earnestly wrote down B City University of Political Science and Law, Faculty of Law, with my current ranking in the top 10 of the class. If I push myself, I can definitely get in. To be honest, I'm not doing too badly. After all, I'm a student in the advanced class of a key high school. Time flew by as I immersed myself in studying. Forgetting to eat and sleep, in the blink of an eye, the day of the college entrance exam arrived. My mother wore a cheongsam and came to see me off with a sunflower in her arms. My father remained silent the whole way, only telling me to stay calm before I entered the exam hall. I gave each of them a hug, then turned and walked toward the exam hall. Wait for my good news. I got into my dream school with a score 20 points above the cutoff line. My parents were very supportive of my choice. They have always supported me, working hard to create good living conditions for me and shielding me from hardships. Simon received a full scholarship to Stanford, while Lisa Lewis, who originally planned to study abroad, chose Q University. It's not hard to understand why she made such a choice. If she didn't stay in the country, she wouldn't be able to take care of the Lewis family. However, she was a bit curious about why I was studying law. I smiled and told her, in the future, you'll be responsible for taking over the James family, and I'll be responsible for sending all the James family members to prison. We looked at each other and smiled. 6 years later, at the customs of J City International Airport, I approached John James, who had just passed through, and presented the arrest warrant. I am Jessica, a prosecutor from J City People's Procuratorate. I currently suspect your involvement in the James Corporation corruption case. Please come with us. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. My brother found true love, and she has uremia, so he wants me to give her my kidney. I disagreed. So he tricked me into going to Myanmar to have one of my kidneys removed, he said. Why can't you just give your kidney to Judy? It's just one kidney. It won't kill you. Later, I was resold countless times and died in a garbage dump. Opening my eyes again, I was back on the day he brought Judy to meet his parents, so happy. It's their turn to go to hell. Amidst the laughter and joy, I woke up. I saw my brother and Judy playing and teasing each other not far away. A thick wave of hatred erupted from within me. Uncontrollably, I lunged straight at Sam. With a thud, we both crashed to the ground. In that instant, my rationality returned. I can't kill him yet. I pinched his face, forcing a smile, and said, why are you flaunting your relationship in front of a single person? Looking at his neck, I couldn't help but swallow. If my hand moves just a few centimeters lower, I could end his life in an instant. I can't express how much I'm drawn to him. I really want to kill him. Heidi, you're so wonderful. You'll definitely find a partner. Judy said softly beside her. Partner? I was tricked by the person I liked into going to Southwest area, and then sold to Myanmar. That was when I found out that he also liked Judy. For the sake of my kidney, he teamed up with Sam to deceive me. I chuckled softly and said, I don't know if you've heard this before, but staying single and childless keeps you safe. Suppressing the urge to strangle Sam, I got up and went to the bathroom. I splashed cold water on my face, trying to convince myself over and over, death would be too easy for them. They must be made to suffer a fate worse than death. In the mirror, I revealed a devilish smile. At the dinner table, my parents were so overjoyed they couldn't stop smiling, continuously serving Judy more food. Sam looked at her with adoring eyes, picking the seafood out of her bowl. These foods are too cold in nature. Judy should eat less. For his girlfriend, he could abandon his sister. What did his parents' pride matter? In her previous life, Judy had visited Myanmar once. Covering her nose, she said, I never imagined you were living in such misery, with your arms and legs broken. You smell awful all over. How pitiful. Your parents are dead. They died while searching for you. I just spread a rumor that you were abducted into the mountains, and they believed it. Do you know why it had to be you? You're in good health. Without you, the Hill family's money will all be ours. Now, your brother and your family's wealth are all mine. Suppressing the surging memories, I looked at them coldly, my hands beginning to itch again. Sam looked at me in confusion. Little sister, why are you looking at me like that? It's creepy. This little glare is nothing compared to the terrifying reality of cannibalistic Myanmar. I pouted and said to my parents, I love eating. You guys serve me. Mom smiled gently and said, all right, I'll serve you some." Sam's face darkened. And he casually remarked, "Little sister, I remember your blood type O, right, the type that mosquitoes love the most." I quickly replied, "Why are you asking? I'm type A, and Harry is type O, a rare O2 subtype. This time, let him save Judy on his own. Doesn't he like Judy? It's just donating a kidney. He'll be more than willing." Under the table, I tightly held my mom's hand. She glanced at me but didn't argue. Sam looked puzzled. "That's not right, I remember it was type O." "I've seen your test report before." I glared at him, my face full of grievance. "Brother, you prioritize your girlfriend over your sister, you even got my blood type wrong. That's just too much." Sam quickly picked up some food for me. "Nonsense, you're just as important as Judy." I looked at him and let out a soft laugh. "In my previous life," I asked him, "I am your own sister. Why are you so cruel to me?" He said, "Judy is the one who will accompany me for a lifetime." How ironic. I instantly lost my appetite. I said calmly, "I'm full, take your time." Standing on the balcony, feeling the cold wind, I took out my phone. "Uncle Bob, help me change all my medical records. Blood type A, with a blood-borne infectious disease, hepatitis B. This matter must be kept confidential from everyone, including my family. Have your daughter report to Hill Corporation tomorrow. Uncle Bob is the Dean of Love, a private hospital under the Hill Group, where we've been getting our checkups since we were kids." After hanging up the phone, I secretly went to Sam's room. I planned to run a paternity test on him. I suspect he's not my biological brother. This was also a lingering regret from my past life. Until the day I died, I couldn't believe my own brother would treat me that way. I went to Uncle Bob for the paternity test and still requested confidentiality, while waiting for the results. My mind began to devise various revenge plans. Whether he is my biological brother or not, I must take severe revenge. "Miss, the appraisal results are out." Uncle Bob's voice came from beside me. I took the report and quickly tore it open. Sure enough, as I had suspected, he was indeed not my biological brother. No wonder he wanted me dead, and my parents dead. A cold smile curled at the corner of my mouth as I handed Uncle Bob a card. "The password is 6/8, remember." "You never heard from me today." Just after leaving the hospital, Harry called, "Heidi, I heard your brother brought a girlfriend home." I looked up at the blue sky and softly replied, "Hum." The man asked nervously, "What's her name?" I snorted coldly, "Why do you care about his girlfriend? Do you have a crush on my brother? Are you jealous?" Harry was so angry he was panting heavily. "Heidi, are you trying to drive me crazy? Is it wrong to care about your family?" I said with a smile. "Don't get so worked up. Her name is Judy, and my brother loves her very much. They're planning to get married, so you are indeed caring about my future sister-in-law, bitch." Disgusting. I hung up on him. Harry sent 2 messages. "Heidi, you've misunderstood. What is Judy? I care about you. I'm coming to your place right now to explain everything clearly." I didn't want to see Harry, afraid I might not be able to resist the urge to hurt him, so I drove to the private detective agency. I requested the VIP service, and the boss personally attended to me, helped me investigate Sam, starting from the hospital where he was born. The more detailed, the better. If you can help me find my biological brother, I'll double the price. By the way, also investigate his girlfriend Judy. Sam's background is likely connected to her. Sam would never allow anyone to know that he is not biologically related to my parents, not even his lover, unless that person already knew. A deposit of $100,000 was given, and a confidentiality agreement was signed. I drove to the security company. I didn't trust the family's drivers and nannies, so I arranged for a few to infiltrate and see if they could find any clues. I also specifically hired 3 top-level bodyguards, 1 for each of us. This time, all the people I found have undergone professional training. Even the nanny can handle 3 tasks at once. I brought a group of people back with me, and the security company specifically sent 2 business vans to follow behind. As soon as I stepped into the villa, I saw Harry chatting with my dad. Dad said with a smile, "Heidi, Harry has been waiting for you for a long time. Come over and keep him company." I almost forgot, Harry is still the man I like, with only the last layer of the window paper left to be pierced. This man has nothing going for him except his good looks. His family's financial situation is average, and he's been stringing me along, helping his family's business with deliveries. What a great guy. My mind is filled with the image of him throwing me to the criminals like trash, and my hands start trembling. I really want to kill him right now. Harry curled his lips into a smile. "Heidi, I missed you so much after just one day." I glanced at my dad, and he winked at me before quickly leaving. he was making space for us, I said calmly. You came at the right time, don't come looking for me anymore. All cooperation between your family and Hill Group is cancelled. Harry was completely stunned. With a cold expression, he said, Heidi, I'm giving you a chance to take back what you just said. LMAO, is that a one-way ticket to Myanmar? I said with a serious face. No need, get lost now. I'm afraid I won't be able to resist beating you to death. Harry's face darkened completely. He probably never expected me to say something like that. He let out a deep sigh. Heidi, don't be unreasonable. I only asked about your brother's girlfriend. If you keep acting like this, I really won't pay attention to you anymore. I stared at him intently, wondering how I ever fell for a man like this in the first place. Perhaps my gaze was too terrifying. Harry took a step back. I'll count to 3. If you don't get lost by then, don't blame me for being rude. Heidi, don't push your luck. If I leave, I won't look back. The man, his face flushed, turned and walked toward the door. Gambling on my reaction, I let him down. Even after he walked out of the villa door, I didn't call him to stop. I took out my phone and dialed the project director's number. Yes, halt all business with the Taylor family and issue a public announcement. Heidi, have you lost your mind? Suddenly, Harry rushed in from outside, lunging to snatch my phone. I pretended to be pushed to the ground by him. The bodyguard beside him leaped and pinned him to the ground. It was time to defend myself. I revealed a strange smile and said, hit him hard. I had long guessed he would return. Everything was just perfect. Heidi, what's going on? Dad came down the stairs with a puzzled look. Harry shouted loudly, Uncle Hill, save me. Heidi is going to beat me to death. I glanced at him lightly and kicked him in the abdomen. Do you really want to die? I can afford to pay for it. Leave him with a breath. Throw him out. His kidneys are still useful. He can't die now. Harry hugged his head with both hands and curled up into a ball. He knew that if he really died, his parents would only care about getting enough money and wouldn't ask any further questions. Heidi, I was wrong. I will only treat you well for the rest of my life. Please give me a chance. I used to be completely obedient to him, and he acted all high and mighty. Now, after a beating, he obediently lies on the ground begging for mercy. Men just can't be spoiled. I looked at him disdainfully. You dog of a man, you're not worthy. Dad was completely shocked. He had never seen me like this before. It's fine. I'll let them get used to it gradually. I turned around, supporting Dad, and immediately switched to a gentle smile. Ah, just a disobedient dog, that's all. Dad, let's go upstairs and talk. He sighed softly and took me to the study. It seems he's preparing to have a heart-to-heart talk with me. I could secretly get rid of them, but I don't want any accidents to happen because my parents are unaware and unprepared. In this life, I don't want any accidents to happen. Dad took a sip of tea and said, Go on. What outrageous thing has he done? I quickly jogged over to massage his shoulders and back. Dad. There's one good news and one bad news. Which one do you want to hear first? If you can't handle it, I can wait a couple of days to tell you the bad news. How can a man allow others to say he's not capable, even if it's his own daughter? Dad put down his teacup and snorted coldly. As the president of the Hill Group, what kind of storms haven't I weathered? Go ahead, just tell me the bad news. Your dad can handle it. My dad loves working out and has always been in good health. While my mom is particularly emotional, she can cry for days after reading a novel, so, now I only dare to tell him. I pulled a document from my bag and handed it to him. Dad, you're so smart, you must have guessed something, right? He glanced at me, calmly opened the document, and then his expression grew increasingly grim. I quickly pulled out another document from my bag. Dad, stay calm, I'm your biological child. He sighed heavily. You resemble me by 60%. How could you not be my biological child? Tell me, what made you think of getting this test? You seem off today. Did you discover something? As expected of a CEO, always getting straight to the point. He wants to kill me to become your sole heir. Is that reason enough? Dad slammed his hand heavily on the table. Impossible. I know the people I've taught. He wouldn't dare. I chuckled to myself. Could it be that in my previous life, my father was on Sam's side? They watched me struggle in the mud until I died. If that's the case, what should I do? It's so hard. Why do I have to make this kind of decision? If he dares, I'll kill him first. I still know the difference between right and wrong. And who's close to me? Dad's firm and resolute voice came through. I hugged him tightly, tears streaming down uncontrollably. I'm really scared. Everyone wants me to die. That's fine. That's fine. Dad gently patted my back. Look how scared you are. Don't worry. I'll look into this. If he really dares to have any ill intentions toward you, I won't let him off. Your dad is just old, not stupid. I wiped away my tears, feeling disgusted with myself. After staying in Myanmar for so long, I even started to doubt my own father. It's true, I'm all on edge now. Whenever something seems off, I immediately jump to the worst conclusions. I said in a muffled voice, Dad isn't old. He'll always be that incredibly handsome dad. The man laughed happily. And it seemed he was in a good mood. After a long time, he said calmly, don't go investigating your brother. He's safe now. Don't expose him to the public. I was stunned. He really knew that Sam wasn't his biological son, and he even knows where his own son is. In my previous life, did my biological father know that Sam and Harry tricked me into going to Myanmar? Did he choose not to save me because of my biological brother? My mind is so chaotic, all kinds of speculations are fighting in my head. I asked with red eyes, then do you know that Sam wants my kidney? If he even knows about this, then I'm going to go on a killing spree. Haha, let's all die together. Why does he want your kidney? Can't the Hill family even come up with a single kidney? No wonder he asked about your blood type during dinner today. Is he sick? I saw his right pinky finger twitching unconsciously. He was lying. This world is utterly terrible. I lowered my head to hide the desolation in my eyes. Forget it. You should go to bed early. I put on a big smile and turned to leave the study. I can't stand staying in this house for another moment. I took the bodyguard and the nanny with me. Dad is such a sharp person. He must have arranged for others. Now, personal safety is still the most important thing. I brought them to live in the villa in the southern part of the city, right across from Sam and Judy's love nest. Keep an eye on the situation across the street at all times. And it would be best if you could know the content of their conversations. Captain Lee smiled slightly. Don't worry, boss. By the time you wake up, you'll be able to see their every move. I nodded slightly and ate a bunch of delicious food before going to sleep. In my previous life, I had to get down on the ground and bark like a dog just for a bite of food. Now that I can eat freely, I simply can't resist it. I always carry various snacks in my bag. I placed a dagger under my pillow, held a stick in my arms, and slowly drifted into light sleep. I woke up startled 5 times during the night. The next day, I didn't wake up until after 11, and it was hunger that roused me. The dining table was laden with delicious food. Now that they knew I could eat, they had prepared a lot. As I ate, I watched a video of Sam and the others' conversation from last night. Judy, the doctor said a kidney transplant is urgently needed. Are you sure your sister is type O? Sam. I clearly remember it was type O, but when I checked the medical report, it turned out to be type A. Don't worry, I'll find a chance to have her blood tested again. If that doesn't work, we can ask Harry to help. Judy, brother, you're so kind. Sam, I'll treat you even better. The entire Hill family belongs to me, and in the future, you can do whatever you want. A week later, Sam stopped me at the mall. He said urgently, Heidi, come with me to the hospital. Harry really needs you. Haha. He still dares to ask me to see that scumbag. They just want to draw my blood for verification, don't they? I said with a smile. I was the one who had him beaten up. Does he need me to beat him up again? That doesn't seem right. At least wait until he's discharged from the hospital before beating him up again. Sam was stunned for a moment. Was it really you who hit him? I don't believe it. You like him so much. How could you have been so ruthless? Is this considered ruthless? Well, that makes sense. They've never seen the hell on earth, where getting beaten up is the easiest part. Okay, I obediently nodded. Yes, it was me, and I'll hit him again in the future. You'd better not provoke me either. When I go crazy, I'll hit anyone. If it weren't for the last shred of conscience, I would have gone on a killing spree. How did you become like this? Come with me to the hospital to get your head checked. Sam reached out to pull me away. Captain Lee gently slapped his hand, and his fair, slender hand instantly turned as red as a pig's trotter. Great, I'll give Captain Lee a bonus when we get back. A scream escaped from Sam's mouth. If someone hadn't been there to support him, he would have collapsed to the ground. I shrugged, looking completely unfazed. Serves you right. I told you not to mess with me, but you just wouldn't listen. Harry likes Judy, eating from my pot while dreaming of true love. Isn't it perfectly normal for me to beat him up? Cold sweat kept pouring from Sam's forehead. The look in his eyes finally changed when he looked at me. How boring. He can't even keep up the act anymore. You just want a type O kidney, don't you? Harry happens to be a match. And he's lying in the hospital bed right now. Everything is just perfect. These two are so disappointing. I've already delivered the kidney source right to the hospital bed. and they still don't appreciate it. Sam's face was full of shock, and he even forgot to cry out in pain. His body trembled. What else do you know? So scared already. You must have done a lot of wicked things in your past life. I chuckled darkly. You won't get my kidney, but Harry's is just right. He likes Judy. So he'll definitely be willing to give up a kidney for her. Having your woman coveted by someone else, heh, dying on the operating table is just perfect. Don't tell me you don't even have that much pride. Sam kept backing away, looking at me as if I were a monster. I curled my lip, my face full of disdain. Don't you dare say you're from the Hill family when you go out. It's embarrassing. Sam's face was as dark as thunder. I brought a large group of people home in a grand procession. Mom called me many times to urge me to come back. My last conversation with Dad was very unpleasant, but I still can't bear to see my own mother upset. I handed a pile of gifts to my mom, and she was grinning from ear to ear. You little rascal, always trying to bribe your mom. I'll transfer you some more pocket money in a bit. Had a fight with your dad. There's no lasting grudge between father and daughter. Hurry up and move back home. I don't feel secure in this home right now. There's no way I'm going back, I said with a laugh. We didn't argue. Our relationship is great. We even have little secrets. Mom pursed her lips and gently tapped my forehead with her right index finger. I'm your mother. Do you think I can't tell if you've been arguing? Your dad has been working overtime in the study every day lately, and I have no idea what he's up to. What else could I be busy with? Just paving the way for my dear brother. Before long, Sam returned with Judy, who looked pale. His neck was wrapped in a bandage, revealing a hand swollen like a pig's trotter. Mom screamed, Sam, what happened to your hand? Who did this? She said while looking at Judy. Her meaning was obvious. How annoying, not even letting someone have a proper meal. Judy looked at me angrily. Sister, how could you let your subordinates hit your brother? He's your own brother. How ridiculous. Am I supposed to just obediently go to the hospital with him? I snorted coldly. You have uremia. I don't agree with you two being together, and don't even think about setting your sights on my kidney. The air instantly fell silent. They probably didn't expect me to say it so directly. Mom pulled me to her side. Heidi, are you okay? As long as I'm here, no one dares to take your kidney. Her eyes were filled with worry, with no doubt at all about whether what I said was true. Suddenly, there was a hint of emotion. At least my mother loves me. As for others, why should I care about them? I gently held my mother's hand and sighed, saying, I really can't understand it. Our Hill family has money and power, so why can't we find a suitable kidney donor? Do you really have to have my kidney? Are you really my biological brother? Would a real brother treat his sister like this? Sam panicked, his eyes turning as red as a rabbit's. Judy wiped her tears, looking as if I had bullied her terribly. She sobbed and said, Sister, you've misunderstood. It's because my health isn't good that Sam is worried about the family. He wanted you to get a health checkup at the hospital so he could feel at ease. This woman is quite good at making up stories. I let out a cold smile. I just had a checkup last month. Think again and come up with a different excuse. If he really cared, wouldn't he know about my situation? Do you really think we're all fools? Mom looked at her coldly, her eyes devoid of any warmth. I quickly tried to calm her down, saying it wasn't worth getting upset over such trash. She sat up straight, her face full of displeasure, and said, Sam, you explain. Judy's face turned even paler, as if she might faint at any moment. Sam tried hard to reach out with his left hand to support Judy. Mom, Harry is in the hospital. He asked me to bring my sister over to talk things out. I just went to ask, and then, I hate it when people leave their sentences hanging. One sentence can have 800 hidden intentions. A personality developed from staying in Myanmar for too long. If it can be solved with force, never waste words. I stood up and said righteously, Harry pushed me to the ground, so I had him beaten and sent to the hospital. Just a dog, how dare it bite its master? I was already being merciful by not killing him. Mom's face looked very grim as she carefully examined my body. Judy whispered from the side, Little sister, how can you say that about Harry? He didn't push you over on purpose. Why are you being so petty? Mom slapped her across the face, and a bright red handprint immediately appeared on her pale cheek. Judy covered her face and sobbed quietly. Her intelligence is a bit hard to watch. Once Sam takes control, she'll inevitably be eliminated sooner or later. Mom, I didn't know Harry pushed my sister down. I thought my sister really liked him and didn't want her to have any regrets. Don't worry. If he dares to bully my sister, I'll go deal with him right now. Such skillful wording, truly worthy of being personally trained by my dad. I glanced at his nearly crippled hand. Besides, I'm not planning to take the blame for this. No, I've already broken up with him. We Hill family can't do anything criminal. You're the successor of the Hill family. Don't do anything foolish. Sam's face turned red and then darkened, while Judy lowered her head and shrank to the side. We finished the meal in an awkward atmosphere. They barely touched their chopsticks. I was the only one who ate with great ease. I wanted to leave right after dinner, but my dad stopped me. Mom gently ushered us into the study. She thought we were having a heart-to-heart father-daughter talk. As soon as I sat down, my dad said with a cold expression, "I'm very disappointed in you. I told you not to investigate your own brother, so what have you been doing?" I knew it was this, but I didn't expect it to be discovered so quickly. I stared at him intently. "By the time you said it, I had already paid the deposit. You taught me to be frugal and save money since I was a child. How can we let this money go to waste?" With a loud bang, he threw the teacup in his hand directly onto the ground. "Heidi, don't think I won't dare to deal with you. No one dares to ruin my plans. My heart feels as if it's being torn apart. So, my own father was the mastermind behind it all. My death in my previous life must have been related to him. At the very least, he allowed it to happen." Dad snapped his fingers, and 2 bodyguards escorted a disheveled man into the room. He looked at me with eyes full of apology, and I immediately understood. He was the owner of the private detective agency, the top-ranked company in the city, and the boss himself came to handle it. "The Hill Group truly lives up to its reputation," Dad said with a dark expression. "This is your last chance. Don't meddle in anything related to your older brother again. When you're under someone else's roof, you have to bow your head." After writing a 1,000 word pledge and pressing my fingerprint on it, I left the study with the private detective agency owner. Mom is waiting for me in the living room. She probably heard the sound of the teacup shattering earlier, and her expression doesn't look too good. I let out a soft sigh. The argument got a bit heated. "I'll go out and lay low for a while. Once you've calmed him down, I'll come back." The private detective boss said he has some information for me. I paid a deposit of 100,000, and then another 500,000 for the second payment. It wouldn't make sense to not have any updates by now. I took 3 bodyguards with me to escort him back to the company. For the sake of his image, we took the back door. He took a document out of the safe and said, "This is all I could find out. Your father is really something. He sent a lot of people to protect your brother." If in my past life he had sent just 2 people to protect me, I wouldn't have died so miserably. I took the documents. These were probably what Dad wanted me to see. Jack, my biological brother. The name and the photo felt strangely familiar. He had been living in the US, running his own company, which was quite sizable. Of course, the investor behind him was none other than my own father. Back when Mom gave birth to him, it was my dad who arranged for the swap. Sam is the son of our family's nanny, and Judy is the daughter from his mother's second marriage. Brought into the family by her new husband, his mother sold him to gain the favor of that father and daughter. Sam wished Judy would die. He didn't care how much Harry loved Judy, let alone actively help her find a kidney donor. Targeting me was purely about killing me, then killing my parents, to legitimately inherit the Hill family's fortune. As long as he is alive, my mother and I are in danger. He must die. Let's hold off on Jack for now. Jack, I remember now, in my previous life, he died in Myanmar. The 3rd time I was sold, the person who bought me was a pervert. He personally severed my Achilles tendons, leaving my hands intact, surely for even more twisted purposes. That day, he whipped me half to death, and I lay on the ground, numb, staring at the corpse of a man. He said, "This guy had some nerve, daring to ask me for you. If you dare run, this will be your fate." Later, I found his passport in the haystack, and it read, "Jack." I dare not recall that bloody scene. My body trembles uncontrollably, and my boss thought I was just angry. He whispered, "Miss Hill, don't overthink it. These things are quite normal in wealthy families. This case ends here. Your father confiscated a set of my equipment, and I got beaten up for nothing. The money can't be refunded." I drank a bottle of ice water and finally managed to calm down a little. "You don't have to return the money, but do you dare take on another big case? The commission can be doubled." The private investigator's face instantly flushed bright red. He covered his face and said, "Stop investigating, Jack. Your dad said if I keep digging, he'll shut down my company. I have a family to support, young and old, and this company is my lifeline." The irony was indescribable. The treasure he held so dearly in his heart ended up dying in Myanmar. I shook my head. "Don't investigate, Jack. Help me find out if my dad has any enemies, whether they're business rivals or personal grudges. Investigate them all for me, if he had no enemies. He wouldn't have sent Jack to the United States. The boss shook his head vigorously, his hair flying everywhere. Miss Hill, please spare me, I can't afford to mess with your dad. I cleared my throat lightly. Many people are investigating him, one more won't make a difference. Find someone reliable to handle it. No need to get involved personally. I extended my hand and showed him a number with my fingers. His eyes lit up, and he slammed the table with a heavy slap. Only a fool would pass up easy money. This time, there was no contract signed. He wouldn't dare take the money without delivering. 2 days later, while I was eating, Captain Lee handed me the surveillance video. Harry, with bandages wrapped around him, limped and knocked on the door of Judy's villa. He said gently, "Judy, I'm willing to give you my kidney, as long as you love me properly just once." The woman wiped her tears and thought for a long time, but still let him in. Judy poured him a glass of water and said pitifully, "I can't betray Sam, whether I live or die. It's all up to fate." Harry hugged Judy tightly, burying his head in the woman's neck. "I won't let you die. It's just a kidney. I can give it. Judy, I miss you so much. If we hadn't broken up and that child hadn't been aborted, how happy our family of 3 would have been." "Oh, I see, Judy is really obsessed with money." I asked Captain Lee to call the police. "There's a thief in the villa across the street, then use a burner account to send the video to Sam's phone. He is also considered a victim, so he has the right to know." It didn't take long for the police and Sam to arrive almost at the same time. When the door was opened, the two on the couch were so entangled that they didn't even notice the sound of the door opening. Sam's face was as dark as could be, although he wanted her dead. Betraying him right in front of his eyes was absolutely unacceptable. A man's pride wouldn't allow it. Harry said gently, "Judy, we are the most harmonious couple. I want you to be with me every day." The police turned around and coughed softly. The two of them turned their heads abruptly, and upon seeing the newcomer, they were so frightened that their bodies went weak, collapsing on the sofa and unable to get up. "Brother, please let me explain." Sam restrained himself and saw the police officers out. He didn't resort to violence, which was something I hadn't expected. He escorted Harry to Love Hospital and signed the kidney donation agreement. I heard that Harry is now surrounded by Sam's people. Now, he has no choice but to donate. After dinner, I sat on the balcony watching Sam throw things. The entire villa was completely destroyed by him. Judy didn't dare to say a word beside him. My phone next to me suddenly rang. It was Harry's mom. I thought for a moment and still pressed the answer button. "Heidi, I heard you had a fight with Sound. Couples shouldn't hold grudges overnight. Let's have a meal together tomorrow. I'll make him apologize to you." A gentle woman's voice came through the phone. How ridiculous. Did they really think I was desperate enough to take anything? After cutting off the Taylor family's project, they did come looking for me, but Captain Lee handled them all. They didn't even get to see me in person. Their calls were blocked. They changed their phone yesterday, and I haven't had the chance to block the new number yet. I said calmly, "I'm not even dating him, let alone being married. He's with Judy now. If you want the project, go talk to her." She said, "They can't be together. Since you like him so much, please help our Taylor family. If we don't get any projects soon, we'll go bankrupt." Going bankrupt is great. Much better than dying on the operating table. I really want to see Harry. Drowning in debt, dragging his broken body around begging for money. For some people, living is more painful than dying. I hung up the phone directly and took the time to visit Love Hospital. Uncle Bob is being particularly polite now. In his eyes, I am the sole heir of the Hill family. As for Sam, he's nothing. A week later, Judy's surgery was very successful. I heard Sam smashed another room full of things. This is all the money from my Hill family, and it's all recorded in the accounts. I'll make sure he pays me back every last cent. Thanks to my efforts, the Taylor family has successfully gone bankrupt. On the day Harry returned, his house was sealed off, his phone number was blocked by all his relatives, and his bank and credit cards were all frozen. He called me, begging me to take him in, and said he was willing to work like a horse for me. I said, "Sorry, I don't want it if the kidney is no good, especially since you're a piece of trash." Harry went back to find Judy. But not only did she refuse to see him, she even had someone beat him up. After that, Harry's health deteriorated even further. He had no money and couldn't even afford painkillers, so he had to endure the pain. He went to the club to apply for a job, but unfortunately, his health was poor, and no one dared to hire him. In the end, he ended up begging on the streets, frequently getting beaten by others. Whenever he thought about suicide, someone would appear and tell him how happy Judy was now. In reality, Judy was suffering from rejection and living a life worse than death every day. Sam was overjoyed, thinking he could finally get rid of Judy and the others. Unfortunately, he died the earliest. While celebrating at the bar, he was suddenly stabbed to death. When I received the notification, I was stunned. Instantly, I thought of the message from the private detective, and it seemed perfectly normal. After all, my father had prepared for decades just for this moment, hadn't he? I rushed to the bar, where a police line had already been set up outside. Sam was lying on the ground, a knife stabbed into his back, piercing through his chest, with blood pooling all around. Mom was crying so hard she could barely catch her breath, and when she saw me appear, she hugged me and cried even more. I gently patted her back and was just about to say something to comfort her. Dad looked at me with a stern gaze from the side and said in a low voice, "Heidi, don't say anything reckless." I gave him a contemptuous look and suddenly felt a deep disdain for him. As a husband, he coldly watched his wife's sorrow. As a father, he sent his son abroad to live alone and paid no attention to his daughter's life or death. I spent a long time coaxing my mother before finally persuading her to come home with me, leaving this mess for my father to deal with. When we got home, there was a man sitting in the living room. I knew his name was Jack, my biological brother. What does this mean? A bit hard to understand. He smiled at us and said softly, "Let me introduce myself. My name is Jack, and I am your biological son, your biological brother, the one who died." Sam was the son of the nanny, Lisa. You should remember, you both went to the maternity hospital together. Mom stood there in a daze, and I quickly helped her sit down on the sofa. Jack sat across from her, and Mom glanced at him from time to time. She turned to me and said, "Heidi, did you hire him to act in this play?" I have to say, he does look a bit like me. I shrugged and spread my hands, making a helpless gesture toward the man. Jack smiled and pulled out a stack of materials from his bag, including photos of him with my dad and a DNA test report. Mom's hands trembled as she slowly flipped through them. After a long while, she looked at me and asked, "Heidi, did you already know? Is this the little secret you mentioned? All of you knew, and I was the only one kept in the dark?" I glared at Jack, shaking my head vigorously while continuously patting her back to calm her down. "Mom, I only found out a few days ago. Dad didn't let me tell you. If they hadn't set their sights on my kidney, I'd be just as clueless as you." Mom heard this and hugged me, crying, constantly asking me, "Why? This whole thing is all my dad's fault. I'm putting all the blame on my dad." Jack explained softly beside me. Finally, he said, "Don't worry. They won't dare lay a hand on the Hill family again." I looked at him deeply, and the man gazed at me adoringly, not a trace of malice in his eyes. Could it be that in my past life, he came to Myanmar to save me? I dare not imagine how much pain he must have endured. Dad didn't come back until midnight. While we were chatting in the living room, he saw the man next to Mom and nearly fainted from anger. He said coldly, "How dare you come back without my permission?" Mom snorted coldly and strode toward him. I quickly handed over a feather duster, which I had prepared just for this occasion. Mom scolded and hit him while I cheered her on from the side, and Jack laughed. That night, Dad suddenly had a stroke, and Jack took over the Hill group. Not a single board member objected. They all behaved surprisingly obediently. Jack really has some skills. 2 days later, Harry, dragging his battered body, killed Judy in the villa and then committed suicide beside her. Beside him lay his suicide note, "I know I'm dying, but I can't bear to part with Judy. I hope you can bury us together." It must be said that he truly had some feelings for her. I had them buried together with Sam. I hope the three of them will be entangled together for all their lives and beyond. Jack's extra story. I was reborn. In my previous life, I almost managed to save my sister from Myanmar. This time, I will never let her suffer any harm. My father is very selfish, since he couldn't defeat his enemies. He forced me to study hard so that I could grow up and defeat them. To motivate me to study, he always used my mother and sister to threaten me, so I've always known that I have a beautiful sister and a gentle mother at home. Whenever I feel like giving up, I get through it by watching my sister's videos. In my previous life, while I was secluded working on a new product, my father allowed my sister to be deceived into going to Myanmar. As soon as the new product is ready, I will return triumphantly to the Hill group with it. But in his eyes, my sister and Sam are just obstacles in the way. He only needs to pretend he knows nothing to shift all responsibility away from himself. By the time I returned with the new product, my sister had already been tricked into going to Myanmar for half a year. My father left those 3 people to me, saying, "They did it all, do with them as you please." he thought I was as heartless and dictatorial as he was. I imprisoned him on a deserted island, placed my mother in a scenic nursing home, and publicly announced that they had passed away. Sure enough, Judy couldn't resist showing off. And I followed her to Myanmar to find my sister. I brought over a dozen bodyguards with me, but I still couldn't save my sister. After death, I was filled with immense resentment and unwillingness. In the end, I exchanged the accumulated merits of 10 lifetimes for a chance at rebirth. After returning, I started trading stocks while hiring people to protect my sister, and incidentally took care of my enemies. Worried that my father might cause trouble again, I made sure he was bedridden. Did he really think I couldn't handle the board of directors? Everyone has their weaknesses. After taking over the Hill Group, I directly gave my sister 10% of the shares, allowing her to shop freely. Every day, I would go to my father's hospital room and share our amusing stories. After hearing the 2 stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.